Hello and welcome to a new session on the topic iSAQB for software architecture and Arc42 for documentation and communication of the software architecture in the context of your enterprise architecture role. Disclaimer, we are not going to infringe on any copyrighted materials in this session or video series in general. If you need to reference the materials introduced and highlighted in these sessions, please refer to the websites iSAQB.org and the Arc42.org websites, and you can find the downloadable materials available for your own reference and usage. That being said, today we continue our discussion of the Word document format of the Arc42 documentation structure or skeleton. In previous session, we have covered the first part up to the functional requirements. In today's session, we start with the stakeholders, where we left off the last time. For a quick reminder, you can download the Word document from the website arc42.org download, and then on the top left you find the docx and English version with help, one we are using in this session. So having covered the functional requirements, the next part to address the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders interested and interacting with your system? And I can refer here from the Open Group and TOGAF standard to the stakeholder matrix, where you identify the stakeholders according to their interest and the influence they have in their organization, so that you can also use it as a baseline for filling this section in your documentation of the architecture work. And this will be a table format with the role, the contact, and their expectations. Perhaps if you have a process outlined in your organization about the approval of the architecture work package or the deliverables of your architecture, then this is also possible to introduce here the approval signature or the dates and times of the approval for each stakeholder. In the next section, you move on to the architecture constraints. What are the financial constraints that are influencing your system design decisions? What are the resources constraints? What are the time constraints? Is this a target architecture that is going to be in production or planned to be in production for a long-term or a short-term intermediary transit architecture? This all should be listed here. How are you going to list that? You can use a table format or bullet points, however you want to comprehensively address these points. Finally, this is one of the interesting parts, the context and scope. The context, you can define the high-level view of the system as a black box, the system and the neighboring systems. And you introduce the business context. What is the business unit going to use this system, or what business service, business process, business function this system is offering or representing, and what are the other business functions that are surrounding it and interacting with it. This is quite useful because you are giving non-technical person the motivation, the reason to read this document and reference it, and also make sense of what follows. And also you define the high level goals of this architecture in terms of the business. Why are we doing this? Why is this architecture work or implementation that follows really necessary for the business? Similarly, you introduce the technical context of the system, interfaces, and surrounding microservices or other system, third parties, partners, the high level picture at a technical view of the system. So you can have here a few diagrams to illustrate these ideas, but remember this is a very high level abstraction of the system as a black box, more or less. Thank you for watching and see you in the next session.